Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got another review for you. I hope you're having a great weekend. Let's get started into it. This is Image Comics Made in Korea, issue number 5. We got a story by Jermey Holt, art by George Shaw, and lettering by Adam Wollet. Ongoing, continuing series about the proxy that it's really about a back in Korea they have a robotics laboratory, and they are creating artificial life, androids per se, and these proxies are sent out all over the world for families that can't have children and something like this. This book does take place in the future, not in the far future, but a little bit in the future where this is a normal thing that people do have, like, android children and that kind of thing. And this book, in the beginning, we are following a developer who has come up with the perfect algorithm. Basically, he has taken AI and kind of developed like maybe a soul or something like that. And we are following that character that he eventually, he put that algorithm into one of the droids, and that's who we're following, up until this point. It starts out and that android is sent to Texas, and we follow like the first 4 issues. That was what that was about. At the end of the 4th issue, he had recovered the android, and now they're going back to Korea, and that's where this story takes place. Is her kind of like a start in Korea per se. And I kept saying droid, but now she's she has a droid body, but technically at this point in the story she's kind of just as human as we are, and facing those issues of growing and learning and kind of stuff. It does start out with a dream sequence, and it's not set up as a dream sequence, but technically she's charging, but her memories, her mind is wandering and stuff like that, and it's like 3 different dream scenarios, but they're all like no end scenarios. There's one where she enters a room, and it's like the circle room with no entrance or exit kind of thing. There's another one where it's like she's looking at a glass, and the mirror is telling her that to get to the exit she needs to break the image of her kind of thing, and it's kind of like all that stuff, like, she's thinking about who she is and what she is in the world kind of thing. Of course, she's kind of alone, being the only, the only, you can't really say person or android or whatever going through this, but she's a one of a kind, right? So she does wake up, and she is greeted by her gifter, and I think his gifter's name is her maker, or what per se, his name is Joe, or it's like J-U and then -OH. We follow them, and it's more like this father-daughter situation where, he's showing her Korea. They go to like a mall that he thinks she's going to find fascinating, and then she does, and then she starts asking questions about her body, like, when am I going to mature, when is my size, when am I going to start growing? And he's like, oh, you can't, you're stuck in that body. They continue on shopping, and like he wants to buy her new outfits and stuff like that, and he originally takes her to like a children's shop that's mainly suited for girls, because she's supposed to be a girls, but she has adopted this tomboy look, and she's kind of sticking with it, so she has to go to another store that kind of sells more boy clothes. They do go there, and she's getting frustrated because she's looking at certain images of women and stuff like that, and how her body's supposed to mature as far as we know women to grow and mature as they get older. And she gets real quiet at this point, and there is like a huge conversation from the father to her, and he's asking her what's bothering her, and she's like, don't worry about it, you wouldn't understand, kind of thing. And he pursues further, and she kind of explains it's because he made the statement about how her body will not change and stuff like that, but what she's going through is questions of that nature. So on her level, she's like, you can't answer anything about this. So during this conversation, she is greeted by like a security guard. Hears them kind of arguing, and in this world, since she's supposed to be an android, this is seen as a weird situation, and he's asking the father to shut the android down, to put her into sleep mode, because he feels like she's malfunctioning in a public place because they're at a mall. And the dad's all trying to say, no, 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 don't worry about this, don't worry about this. There is a like a little side story that's running through that's going to play further into the story, because as they're going to the mall, the dad, Joe, he does run into like one of his like his past co-workers that worked with him at that android, and going into the series, I think by the second issue or something like that, it might be the first, he ends up quitting that company because he's afraid that they're going to claim ownership to that perfect algorithm type thing. And so he left that company without revealing that he had come up with that perfect algorithm, in fear that they would use it in the wrong way. And now him running into that friend at this time during the whole security guard situation, we see that that friend goes behind the scene back to the company that he's still working for, and starts doing background information into what he was working on. And he does reveal that he did come up with that perfect algorithm, and he did it on company's time. So now the company knows what he did, and they believe that it's their product type thing. And we do see that they're sending agents out there to recover the proxy. During the whole scuffle with the security guard, because the security guard is adamant about putting her into sleep mode, and the dad's like, no, 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 I got this, just leave us alone, we'll leave, I'm sorry, we're creating a commotion, there's nothing wrong with her. And I'm drawing a blank at the main character's name, the proxy, but so I'm just going to keep calling her that. And I'm bad with name, guys, so don't. But basically, she starts defending herself, and she's like, I am a proxy, but at the same time, no one's in control of me, I am my own person, kind of thing. And the security guard's just ignoring her, and eventually he physically tries to put her in sleep mode. And at this time, the first time, she brushes her away with her quick reflexes, and the second time he tries to do it like he didn't get the point, but she literally breaks his hands while he's trying to grab, and he's all in pain and agony at that point. She ends up taking off, and the father figure, he ends up running after her, but loses her in the crowd of this massive Korean mall. So he kind of like lets her run off or whatever, and then he ends up going to, this like, I guess one of his side friends, someone we haven't really met in the story, not that I can remember, but it's like it's one of his robotics friends or something like that, and the robotics friend is working on an android when he goes to see him, and he's like, oh, now you're regretting putting that GPS tracker on her. And she's like, she needs her on her own persona, she doesn't need to be tracked like that and stuff, and she'll come home, kind of thing. But he starts talking about like the issues that we're having, and it kind of seems like they're trying to think around, maybe possibly put her into a new body, kind of thing, is what I'm getting at, why he went to that friend, because it's kind of a short conversation and they cut us off. Okay, so we go back into with her, and where she has run off to, and she has somehow like stumbled upon a carnival, and she ends up like finding little girls playing in some water and splashing around, and she even asked the girl like, hey, why are you splashing in the water, what's so interesting? And the little girl's like, I just like the splishy splash sound, and eventually that little girl's parents walk up and give her like an octopus stuffed animal, and they're like, hey, come on, it's time to go. And they kind of notice the proxy there by herself, and they're like, hey, are you abandoned? Where are your parents? Are you lost? And the proxy is like, no, I'm not lost, I can take care of myself. And like as soon as she answers this, a couple from behind her like, oh, there you are, we've been looking for you forever. And she turns to them and she's like, I don't know you, who are you? And as soon as they do that, you see like a behind the back movement where this guy has a device and he activates it, and all of a sudden she kind of like computers out and kind of goes maybe into like a sleep mode or something like that. And that's where the comic ends off. So I have to assume that's the company trying to retrieve their stuff, kind of thing. But I mean, overall, issue-wise, it was a good read, but I wouldn't say, out of the series so far, to me this was like the slow point, but I kind of see where they're building up back to, because honestly, this has been one of my favorite reads of the year. It surprised me the whole way through. After seeing the first issue cover, I didn't think it was going to be that read, but I mean, that first issue almost had me in tears, kind of thing. They have touched on some very important issues, I believe, in especially here in the States, America-wise. But as far as like the reads have gone, this one I would say is kind of, it hasn't been the most extraordinary read, this specific issue, but I feel like they're building up that way, right? Because she's bringing up her body and stuff like that, and then I think that's why he goes to his robotic friend, is because they're trying to solve that issue, kind of thing, so she can grow and feel more adult. But I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't, if you have not had a chance, I highly suggest at this point, maybe picking up the trade or something like that, because it has been a really good read. There are these stories at the end also that I don't really talk about, because they're usually art stories, not verbal, but they always have these like proxy stories at the end that are really interesting as well. But hey, that's my review. I have more coming, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.